All right, so hello and welcome to Math 126 for the spring 2020 semester. My name is Mike Deal, and I will be your professor and guide through this online course this semester. This video is pretty much just an overview of the course and an orientation video for how to get started with the course, the format of things, where to go to sign up for the book and the homework, and where to complete everything. So essentially, this is the how-to for the course. So after watching this video, you should be all set to begin the class, which is posted and active. So you may begin as soon as you're finished with this video. I will ask that you please do watch this whole video, mostly because I will answer all of your questions about how to get started and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So please watch the whole video before sending me an email asking me how to sign up for the book or other types of questions like that, which will be very well covered in this video. Of course, we're looking at our Canvas page here, which yours hopefully looks something like this. I will say, if it doesn't already look like this, which I think it will, the sort of mode, I guess, that the course is laid out in is in modules. So in case your screen doesn't quite look like this, if you click modules, then it will definitely look like this. So so the Canvas that hopefully you've used before in a different course is where most of the content for the course will be, and also where due dates for things will be here to remind you of them. You'll be taking your exams here in Canvas, as well as this will be where the sort of official grade book will be maintained, which I know you all know is how to access, so you can see how you're doing in the course. So this, as usual, is the central hub, I guess, for our course. But there will be a couple of other components that we'll use, which I will go through in this video. The first thing I'll just chat a little bit about, since it kind of has a little information about everything, is the syllabus for the course. So if you click on the first link right here in Canvas, you'll get a Word document that you can open up, and hopefully looks like this. This, as you know, of course, the syllabus kind of has the nuts and bolts of the course, and it is, again, a good place to look in case you have any questions related to the sort of structure of the course or grading and things like that. So I'll just quickly go through some things here. So this is Math 126, Applied Statistics. This is the spring semester. These are our official course dates, March 17th through May 4th. I will say that you are welcome to begin the class early, though, so you do not have to wait until March 17th to begin. However, we will be finished on May, I think 3rd actually, is the due date for the final exam. So we will be done by that first weekend in May. This is me. I'm a math professor. I teach math and computer science in the day school here at Endicott. I've been here for about 13 years and probably have run this class in this format probably 13 or 14 or 15 times over the years. So it's a pretty well-oiled machine at this point. So hopefully you will find it to be that way as well. I do have a physical office on campus. So if you're a day student or not, but happen to be in Beverly in the middle of the day, I do have an actual office location, but mostly I'm seeing day students during office hours. But if you are around and do want to see me, send me an email. But more likely, if you do need any help, just send me an email with questions or anything else that you might be wondering, and I can get back to you, whether you're local or not local, which is probably an easier way to communicate than actually trying to come in and see me. So feel free to send me an email. You can also contact me through Canvas. I think you maybe know that there's buttons or whatever that you might be hitting, that you can hit in Canvas to send me a message. That's fine too. That goes right to my email, so I will get those messages as quickly as you send them. I will send out some class emails, periodically, mostly just checking in or reminding people of due dates and whatnot. So please check your Endicott email. I know that some people don't necessarily, especially if you're not an Endicott student. But please do make sure you're checking it regularly for any important details about the class. The course itself is a pretty traditional introductory statistics course. If you know someone who's taken an intro to stats course elsewhere, probably they have done the similar topics to what we're going to be covering. The course itself is an intro course, so obviously there's no assumption of knowledge about statistics or probability or anything like that. And I will say that going beyond this course, there's obviously many other courses that would come after this one. Some of you may be taking this simply for your general education requirements. It may also be a required course for some of you for research methods or thesis, which those are both kinds of courses that would definitely come after this. So hopefully if you have those in your future, either a research method style course, which is usually like a pre-senior thesis course, or senior thesis itself, you would use some of the things that we'll go through in this course to accentuate and to process whatever data you might collect as part of your study. So, but needless to say, there's many topics after this that would give you much more of a detailed look. But here's a topical outline of some basic topics that we'll be covering. The course is sort of divided more so into halves, I guess. There's going to be a first half, which will be these topics that'll be covered, featured on the midterm exam, and then the second half topics, which will be featured on the final exam. I should say before I roll on, in terms of prerequisites or anything like that, obviously there aren't any formal prerequisites to the course. There is no assumption of any particular math skills. I will say, however, it is a math course and you will be doing some math. So I will get this sort of out of the way right in front. We will be using Excel to do a lot of the math computation. So computation should not be an issue for anyone. But yes, this is a math class and there are math problems and there will even be word problems and you're going to have to sort through them and do all of those kinds of things, which I realize probably is maybe not your favorite thing in the world to do. So I would just say the best advice that I have with regards to that is please try to put that any fears that you have about it away. Please try to resist sending me an email that says, "Hi, I'm so and so, and I've always been really bad at math." I mean, I don't know why that's a thing that people feel like they are almost I guess maybe it helps to just say it, I guess, but it doesn't really do you any good to sort of embrace that fear. And my advice would be to say, try to put that away and say, well, you know what, this is a new class and a new format and a new subject, and I'm going to approach it with an open mind and have confidence that it's going to be just fine. So that would be my pep talk on the old, or if it's been a long time since you've done a math class, that's all right. These are all overcomable issues. So I have people take this class and say, I've always been bad at math, but do just fine with the class. Obviously there are people who fail this course every single time it runs, and that may happen as well. But I do think it's important to kind of have the right approach to say, this is going to be fine. I'm going to do great. Because I think if you really do kind of feel like, well, I know this is going to be bad, then as soon as you encounter any sort of adversity in the course, you just sort of say, well, see, I knew it was going to be bad, which doesn't help because you still have to be able to figure out how to do it. So it's I would just again encourage you to have the right attitude as we go through the semester here. So having said that, though, in terms of background things, we won't be using any fancy math. But yes, math literacy is a prerequisite of being a college student. So you will be expected to understand basic arithmetic and square roots and very basic high school level, or if not earlier than high school level arithmetic and light algebra, but not even really algebra. So hopefully that's all right. If you have big concerns about that, or if you really do have the crippling "I'm going to be bad at math" fears, this may not be the right class for you. There is a course below this one, sort of in the scale of math courses, that is called math problem solving, which might be a better option. So if you have that crippling fear and do want to talk to me about it or send me an email, I can give you some advice or maybe direct you elsewhere. But it is an intro course, like I said. People do fine with this course every semester. So um, okay, enough about that stuff. Other obviously important details about the course. We will be using a book, an ebook that's bundled with an online homework system. The book's title is there, Elementary Statistics Picturing the World. The online homework system is called My Stat Lab. And this is as if you've taken an online course or maybe even an in-person course before, you're hopefully familiar with these kinds of systems, which is where you'll go in order to complete the homework. And I'll show it to you in a minute. But this is an interface where you're going to complete the work and essentially enter your homework answers. And of course, it'll grade it and score it and maybe give you some advice and give you some more chances to do it and things like that. So, so that's one thing that you'll want to buy access to, which I will show you how to do that as well. Aside from aside from the My Stat Lab and textbook bundle, other things that you might want, one thing is just a simple calculator. Even the calculator that's on your phone is probably good enough for any sort of side computations that you might do. The main tool that we're going to use to do computations is Microsoft Excel, which is a statistical or a sort of a spreadsheet piece of software that's pretty standard in most arenas. Hopefully it's standard on your computer and that you already have a version of Microsoft Excel installed on your computer or laptop. Any version of Excel is fine. You don't have to have a specific or whatever the latest one is. I don't even know what the latest one is, but I promise you any version, even one from 10 years ago, is fine. It has all the features that you'll need. You do need access to this though, so I will say if you don't currently have access, you don't have Excel installed, my advice would be to either purchase access. You can buy just Microsoft Excel if you don't want to buy the whole Microsoft Office package. What you should not do is do not buy the online Microsoft Excel. I mean, you can purchase it online, but don't buy or don't be relying on using an online version of Excel, which I believe you can use for free. It doesn't have all the features that you need in Excel. So don't do that. Also, don't buy it for an iPad or some other touchscreen only device. You need to be able to do things like highlight and right click and things like that, which you can't do on an iPad or similar device. So you need it on an actual computer or a laptop. A Windows machine is fine. A Mac is fine. It doesn't matter what kind of computer you own. But you do need to purchase some version of Excel, whatever. Again, any version is fine, not the online version and not a version for an iPad or something like that. I'll be showing you how to do everything in Excel. There are other softwares, I guess, that you can use that will do all of this stuff. And if you choose to want to do that, that's up to you. I will not be showing you how to do things in anywhere except for in Excel. So you're completely on your own if you are going to use some other spreadsheet software or even just using a calculator for all of these things. Again, it's possible to do those things, but I'll be showing you everything in Excel. So if you don't already have it, purchase access to Excel, or maybe you can borrow a laptop from someone who might have it, or it's on most computers that would be in a public library or a school library. So I've had some students that have just sort of relied on using a computer in the library or at work or something like that already has it if they don't want to purchase access. So that's fine too. Okay, so those are the materials that you'll need. As I mentioned before, the lectures are going to be videos similar to this one that you're watching right now. These will be all posted in Canvas. So when you go to Canvas, which I'll run I'll take you on a little tour of Canvas after we finish this. You'll see the videos posted there. You can also use the textbook, and there are some videos that come with the textbook, but those are not expected. It's not expected that you watch them. I'll show you where those are. Um, your grade, of course, is important. It's a pretty simple formula for computing your grade. 3/4 of your grade will be based on your performance on the 2 exams. We'll have a midterm exam and a final exam. And then the other quarter of your grade will be from the 6 homework assignments that you'll be completing. So it's a pretty simple formula, pretty simple way to understand how your grade's going to be computed. I guess I'll say this since it's the intro video, but I'll certainly say it as we go through the end of the semester. There is no extra credit, and there's no curve, there's nothing like that in this course. So whatever numerically your score turns out to be is what your grade's going to be in the class. So it's up to you to make sure that you do what you need to in order to succeed in the course. So having said that, homework, I'll show this to you in a few minutes, but the homework system, again, called MyStatLab, that's where you'll go in order to complete the homework. I'll show you some of the features, like you can click on getting similar problem, or you can redo homework problems and still get credit for them. So I'll show you that in a minute. Those are the only homework assignments that are required that you complete. There will be lots of other things floating around MyStatLab that if you want to complete them, you can, but there's no credit given for that. There'll just be the 6 main assignments, which I'll show you, that you are required to do. There are due dates for each of these, and the due dates are posted both on MyStatLab and also in Canvas, and I'll show that to you as well. There are no extensions for homework, period. So please do not send me an email and ask for an extension. You can, however, complete the homework late. There is a system automatically assesses a penalty. I think it's maybe 20 or 25% a day lateness penalty on any problems that you complete after the due date and due time. But please do plan ahead. I swear that I'm not kidding when I say if you send me an email and say my computer crashed and the homework's due in an hour and I can't finish it, I will say you're welcome to finish it late, but it will be counted as late. So the entire course is posted right now and it's active, so you can work ahead as you need to in order to accommodate life schedule or even unexpected things in life. So please give yourself plenty of time to complete work ahead, and so that you're not waiting until the last minute to do it. Exams will be administered through Canvas. Obviously, I'll be reminding you of those, of the midterm and the final. They're timed exams, so you will have to sort of move along, I guess, as you complete them. I think the midterm is 2 hours and the final exam is 3 hours or something like that. Obviously, this is a distance course, so you can use your notes. I can't really stop you from using them anyway. But I will say that since it's a timed exam, generally speaking, you sort of have to study and prepare as you would a regular exam, mostly just because you don't really have that much time. I mean, maybe 2 hours sounds like a lot of time to do an exam, but it goes by pretty quickly if you haven't really studied and prepared for it. And even though you might have time to look up an answer or two, or look up a thing or two from your notes, for the most part, you kind of have to have it pretty well in your brain by the time you take the exam. So more details, of course, about exams as we go along. And then just a final word kind of about expectations. So this is a regular course which taught in the regular day semester is 15 weeks, but we're condensed into about a 7 or 8 week window here. So it is expected that you work somewhere between probably 10 and 15 hours a week. Probably more like 15 in some weeks, and probably more like 10 in maybe some others. But in order to get the 135 hours of time, it is a commitment. So this is not a thing that you can spend, open up for an hour or two a week and finish. It's going to be way more hours than that. So I say that on the first day so that you can decide whether this is the right course for you or not. If you don't think that this is a good time to take the course because you have a lot of busy things happening in your life or other things, which is very understandable, this course runs every quarter. So it runs, winter, spring, summer, fall in this format online. So if there's a better time for you to take it and you want to switch, you can contact your advisor about switching. This course is also offered in person, I believe, every quarter as well. Maybe not winter. I think not winter, but spring, summer, and fall. It's offered as a night class. So if you'd rather do it in person and you're an Endicott student and local, and you'd rather do it in person, again, please contact your advisor if you need to or want to make a swap. Um, and on that, I will say, right, in terms of your own planning and things like that, if you do have things that you know are coming up, I guess there's maybe some holidays that will be coming up in the next 2 months, or 8 weeks or so. You have to sort of plan around those things, right? And maybe have some travel or some things for work or whatever might be going on. Just sort of be aware that you have to kind of plan for those things. The course is posted and active today, so in theory, if you wanted to complete the whole course in the next few days and be done, I don't really know how you'd have that much enough time on your hands to complete it all, but hey, I've actually had people complete the course, in maybe about a week, that they just busted it out and said, I'm done. I finished the whole thing. That's fine. You're welcome to do so. You never have to wait for due dates. You can always work ahead. And everything is posted, and there isn't really any sort of extra stuff that usually comes up afterwards. So feel free to work at your own pace, but do just be mindful of the due dates. If you get extended time or other accommodations for testing, please let me know. I can easily adjust that. You have to contact the student support office to get the proper documentation to me, and I'm happy to do that. All right, so back on the Canvas page. That was the syllabus here. The second link that you see here is a registration document that if you click on this and open this up, I won't open it up, but if you click on it and open it up, it'll give you directions for how to sign up for My Stat Lab, which is the online homework and ebook system. So if you click on this and sign up, you should end up then being able to log into My Stat Lab, which looks something like this. So when you come into this home screen here, it may or may not look exactly like mine, but it probably looks fairly similar. There's an awful lot of stuff in here, so it's really kind of intimidating probably at first to see, oh my gosh, am I going to be clicking on all of these things? And I promise you're going to mostly just be clicking on one or two places in order to get the stuff that you need for the course. So one place that you're going to click from time to time is on homework. So if it doesn't already sort of show you homework assignments on your home screen, if you click on homework, your screen should probably look something like this. And these are the 6 homework assignments that are required for the course. As you see on the left here, there's due dates for these. The first few are in March, and then the rest of them are sometime in April. So these due dates are also in Canvas, so you can look there as well. They should hopefully match these due dates here. And these are the 6 assignments that you'll be completing in order to get credit for the homework portion of the course. Anything else that you see anywhere else in My Stat Lab, you might see things that say exams or study plans or practice quizzes and all this other stuff. If you see any of that stuff, you're welcome to use it, but none of that is required and none of that is expected, and you're not earning any credit for doing any of those things, but you're welcome to do them for extra practice. But these are the 6 homework assignments that you're actually going to be completing for the course. So I'll just show you a little of what an assignment looks like. So if you click on, obviously you probably want to click on the first one and do that one first, but I'll just sort of randomly click on one of the assignments. When you click on one, you get this little sort of summary screen, I guess, which is telling you, the assignment, the due date, what's your current score, and then the questions down here that you see are the questions on the assignment. And again, probably you start at question 1, and if you click on that, it'll open up a question. If I do that. And then it's going to take you through. Some of them, as you can see, are multiple choice style questions, like this one here. You don't have to do them in any particular order, although, again, I would probably recommend starting at the beginning, but you don't have to complete them right away. You can say, oh, I don't know that one. I'm going to go to the next one. If you click on the right arrow here, some of them sort of have drop-down menus, as you can see this one does. So skip that one. Let me skip ahead to one that's got a numerical answer. Okay. And then, but many of them, maybe I would even say most of them, or at least the ones that you're going to maybe have some trouble with, um, are questions where it's waiting for you to type in a numerical answer. So this is asking us to compute some probability. And of course, it's sort of posing the question up here above the line. And then down here, it's asking for an answer. So in order to enter, for the most part, again, you're going to have numerical answers for these. If you click on any of these boxes, you can just start typing. And whatever math or whatever number you type, it's going to sort of register that as your answer. There will often be advice over here about rounding to a certain number of decimal places. I would say that that's good advice, so feel free to follow that advice. Over rounding is the only thing that might cause a question to be wrong. So in other words, this says round to 4 decimal places. If you round to 2 decimal places and enter your answer as 0.32 and the answer was 0.3268, it's probably going to mark it wrong. So if it says 4 decimal places, it means 4 decimal places. So anyway, so just sort of, it tries to help you out here by giving you some advice. But so regardless of that, if you're typing in an answer, I don't remember what I said the answer probably was. Maybe if it was that, which I don't think it is. If you try an answer, so obviously I probably wouldn't just make up an answer. I'll go off to the side. And my advice when you're doing homework problems is to do them on paper first. You can sort of be sitting here at your computer and maybe I would copy down or at least sort of summarize what the question's asking. And then I would go on paper and actually work out the solution. You're going to be using Excel to do lots of computations, so maybe also, flipping back and forth between here and Excel. And eventually you're going to come up with an answer. Okay, you say, all right, fine, I did all these computations and now I came up with 0.3268. I say, all right, I think that that's the right answer. So I come down here to the lower right corner and I say check answer. Okay, now probably since I just randomly guessed something there, it was not correct. Hopefully you never see this message, but in the event that you do get a question wrong, a couple of things to say. So one is that the homework system, in an effort to try to be helpful, may give you some advice. Now, sometimes this advice is helpful, and sometimes this advice, quite frankly, is not helpful. For example, this advice that I'm currently looking at right now would really not be great advice in terms of answering this question. Now, I know that's hard for you to know. Well, how do I know if the advice is good or bad? Well, I'll just say this, that sometimes the advice that it's giving you is steering you towards not using technology, or at least not using Excel to answer the question. So the book does not use any particular technology specifically. It's just sort of in general. It's a general statistics book. So my advice is that when you get this advice or when you get any sort of feedback from the system, if it doesn't seem like it's pertinent or relevant or something familiar from what you saw in videos, in our lecture videos, then I'd say probably disregard it. I know some people will sort of get obsessed with doing I type in an answer and then I sort of engineer a solution based on the feedback that the system gives me. Again, I would not encourage you to do that because you're not going to be able to do that on an exam. You're only going to get one shot at each answer on an exam. So that's not really a great system. It's also not really learning. You're just sort of engineering a way to get right answers to questions, which the homework is not worth that much in this course. So you do want to sort of use the homework as an opportunity to actually learn and check to see if you know what you're doing. Having said that, though, it will give you some advice, or which you should, maybe either take or ignore. But I would just sort of go back if I said, oh, I got this wrong. All right, well, let me go find an example in the notes where we did an example like this. And I would, sort of reread the question, make sure I understood the question. And then, try to match that up with hopefully an example from class. And then maybe that would illuminate my answer and say, oh, you know what, that's right, I forgot to do blah, 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 or something like that. So I can come back, though, and I can try a different answer. So I can redo the problem and say, okay, maybe this time I got, I'll just make up some other number here. So I redid the problem after looking at my notes, and I said, oh, okay, now I think this is right. So I typed in a new answer, and I can again hit check answer. But alas, it is still not right. So on most computational problems, they'll give you sort of three chances. So it's waiting for me to do this one more time. So again, I'll just change it again. But if you do it three times and it's still wrong, so I'll check one more time, it'll finally sort of give up and say, okay, well, no, you didn't get this right. It'll give you the correct numerical answer. Now, sometimes that is helpful, and it'll tell you your most recent answer. Unfortunately, it doesn't tell you all of, we had three guesses, but it only gives you your most recent as a reminder. But it will tell you the correct answer. Now, sometimes that's helpful because maybe the right answer was 0.3917, or it probably wouldn't be quite that fussy, but maybe the right answer was 0.3892 or something, you know what I mean? Like some number that was very close to the answer you typed in. If it's extremely close, and then it's probably just that you're over rounding. So you can try the problem over again and just sort of keep some more decimal places in your computation. Other times, seeing the right answer is sort of helpful because you can a little bit reverse engineer and say, oh gosh, that's right, it was probably this, which is not a terrible thing to do, but you do want to kind of make sure that you're taking away, hopefully, the right idea. Now, what am I supposed to do in this case that I got this wrong? And I guess I had a few chances. So again, I would sort of go back and review and try to find some other examples. Now, after doing that, if I want to come back, so right now I can either redo the question immediately, or I say, you know what, I'm stuck on this one. Let me just move on to the next question. So I can go past this one, and then it's moved me to the next question, and I can keep working, and I do this one, and maybe I get this one right, and so on and so forth. But maybe I would decide I'm done for the night because I'm tired of doing these. Whenever you're finished with whatever you're doing, if you just close the window, I think it does sort of ask you if you want to save. But if you want to be on the safe side, if you hit save in the upper right corner here, it'll save whatever you've done. Now, of course, I haven't done anything particularly great because I only did this one problem and I got it wrong, which, as you can see, was what the red X is here for. But if I had gotten some questions right, there'd be little green check marks next to those. And you can come back, and once you get back to the screen, this is saved, right? So I can go back. I can even completely close this and come back the next day and just come back to this homework assignment and say, okay, that's right, I didn't finish this one. Your scores as you complete the assignments will be over here. Say, oh, that's right, I didn't do this one. I didn't finish this one. So let me click back on that, and it's remembered all the stuff I've done, right? So remembered I got number 5 wrong, and hopefully if you got most of them right, it will have remembered those things as well. So you can come back in and you can do these as many times as you want. Now, I will say I sort of already alluded to this when I was doing that problem. The infinity chances is there in order to give you a chance to do some learning and do some exploring and to figure out what you might be having some issues with. It's not really there for you to figure out a way to just get some points for doing homework. So I will say, as you go through these problems, if there's questions that you have, you're welcome to reach out to me for some advice. But I would say that you don't want to sort of fall into the trap. I will always say there are often a couple of people who somehow have a very high homework average and fail the exams, and I usually say, well, there's no way that you are actually doing the homework honestly, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you were cheating, although that has certainly happened. But it does instead just sort of mean that sometimes people are like, well, as long as I just get the points for this stuff. Well, this stuff is what you're going to be asked, real questions about on the exam. So you do want to take advantage of homework as a learning opportunity and not just a place where you can check off some boxes and get some points. So I will say also, if you do have questions, right, and if you do run into issues with homework problems, you have many opportunities. Again, I would say the first and best thing you should do is rewatch the lecture videos and rewatch the portions of the videos where we do problems like the ones that you're having issues with. I guarantee you that I have done an example problem like 99% of the homework problems that you have in front of you. So I will often get the question, I don't see any practice, or I don't see any problems from class that are like the homework problems, which is not true. But I will usually say, well, okay, you have to be a little bit, you have to think a little bit about how it could be similar to what the homework problem is asking you. So you do have to do a little bit of thinking in order to make the connection. But I promise that there are ample examples that I will have done in class, in the lecture videos, for you to fall back on. So please do that as a first option, I guess. But if even after doing that you're still kind of hung up on a question, you can certainly go see tutors if you're on campus, and are able to make appointments with tutors. You're welcome to do that. And of course, I'm here for you too, so I'm happy to help you. I will say that if you are going to send me a question about homework, which is fine, what I will ask you to do is to send me a picture of what you've done in order to try to answer the problem already. So in other words, this number 5 or whatever that I got wrong a couple of times. Since you're all going to be doing your homework on paper and not just trying to sort of be super fast and awesome and do it all on screens, because you're really not. I mean, for most part, you're going to need to do these problems on paper. Just take a picture of the paper of whatever you've done. Hopefully, kind of make it somewhat legible and organized enough for me to see what you did. So if you do have a homework question, snap a quick picture on your phone and then attach it to your email. It infinitely helps me to be able to see what you've actually done. I can usually give you advice. Oh, okay, I see what you did. The 5 steps you did to do this problem, you had 4 of the 5 right. It's just that you forgot to blah, 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 at this point, or something like that. So please do that. I don't typically respond too well to the I'm lost with everything questions, or I just don't know how to do this problem at all. I will sort of insist that you at least show me that you've done some work to try to do it yourself before I give you any advice, mostly because I don't know how to give you advice unless you tell me a little bit more specifically about what you're struggling with a problem. So please do that. So I'll remind you of that as we go through the course, to please send me a picture of the paperwork that you've done on a problem, so that I can give you some guided advice. Okay, so I think that's enough for homework. So that's the homework tab here. It's pretty, hopefully it's pretty self-explanatory. The other thing that you'll be doing in my stat lab, and you'll be doing this for the first assignment only, is reading from the ebook. Now, one would think if one was designing a nice interface like this that they would put textbook or something like that as an option down here on the left. Unfortunately, they don't. And so, if you click on chapter contents over here on the left, chapter contents is their way of saying, oh, here's the ebook. Okay, so if you click on chapter contents, you'll see, of course, here's where a lot of other resources might be, but ultimately here's the chapters in the book, and we'll be doing chapters 1 to 5, 6, and 9, I think. But for the first homework assignment, I will actually ask you to read from the book. For all the other homework assignments, I have lecture videos that cover everything you need to know. However, you're more than welcome. You paid for the book, so if you do want to read some of the other chapters, you're welcome to click on these. There's some other examples that you might see in here. But for the first chapter, I am going to insist that you actually read the book. So if you click on chapter 1 from the previous screen, there's only 3 sections, and it's not terribly long. If you click on any one of the sections, you'll see, finally, even though you've had to click a few times here, multimedia e-text is what you want to click on. And that'll pop up a window that is basically sort of like a PDF, or kind of looks like a PDF. And that's the book, right? So if you click on any of these sections, you can click on section 2 and then click on multimedia e-text. It'll, again, pull up a screen that's essentially the book. So that's how you can get to the book. You can see here there's also videos here. Now these are not my videos. These are the videos that come with the textbook. I got to be honest, I don't think they're actually very good at all. But hey, if you want to watch them, you can. But you're certainly not required to or expected to do that. As you can see, though, right, there are a whole bunch of other things in here. Look, it says chapter test. Oh, okay, you can click on that, I guess. Right, and this is going to give you some sort of a test that the book has made up that it thinks is good for chapter 1. I mean, there's no harm in doing these things, I don't think, but nothing else here is going to be graded though, or counted in your grade, except for the homework assignments. Okay, so these 6 homework assignments. Again, if you click on homework, which is mostly what you're going to click right on as soon as you come in here, these are the 6 that you're going to be completing. The due dates are over here, and they're also here in Canvas. So I'll finish the video by going over just the Canvas portion, or the Canvas layout of our course. So for each unit, I'll skip over the first one just for a sec, but for most of the units, you'll see roughly 4 things. These announcements I think I used to use more often, so you can click on those if you want, but there's not really anything too important in there. But then the most important thing to click on in any of these are these lecture videos, right, or video lectures. You'll see that these are part of every unit here. So if you click on any one of them, obviously sort of do them in order, but if you click on these are just YouTube videos, as you might guess from looking at the screen here. So what should you do for each week is obviously watch these lecture videos, and these are videos just like the one you're listening to now. It's me voicing over PowerPoint slides, essentially, right? So
okay, so welcome to...
That's going to be awkward. So you can watch the videos right here in Canvas if you want. Some people don't like the smaller screen, so if you click on, you can make it full screen if you want, or you can, if you click on the little YouTube icon, it'll pop it out in a regular YouTube screen. So you're welcome to watch the videos there. This player is actually not too bad, right? It gives you a little preview, so if you're looking through the lecture for a specific part, you can kind of maybe sort of scroll until you be like, oh yeah, that's the one I wanted. I wanted this one for whatever reason, right? So for each unit, like I said, there's these videos. Now it's a varying amount of videos. I think this one actually has the most. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so video. I guess there's 6 for this one. That's probably the most, at least in terms of number of videos, but it varies from week to week, but there are, at least a few hours of lecture videos for each one. I will say that for easier topics, probably watching them once is good enough, but for the harder topics, I will ask that you watch them more than once, just because there's a lot of information in some of them. So those are the lecture videos. So obviously that's maybe the first thing to do. So you say, oh, okay, I'm ready to do unit 3. Probably the first thing I would do is click on these. I would watch all the videos that are there in order. I would take notes. I don't think I said that earlier. When you're watching these lecture videos, my best advice is to treat it like you were in an in-person course. So have a notebook or whatever you like to take notes in, and take notes just like you would. I really think that that's super, super important. I mean, I'm bored just making this video, so I can only imagine how bored you are right now listening to me talk to you in this video. And guess what? You're probably not going to be that much more excited about these lecture videos. So how easy is it for me to just start clicking on other stuff? Yeah, he's talking about this thing. I'll leave the volume on, but let me go do this other thing for 5 minutes, or play on my phone for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to the lecture. He's still going to be talking about this thing. I mean, sure, I'm sure there's probably a few things that are not super, super important that get said, but if you're blanking out and doing other things while you're kind of supposed to be in class, so to speak, I guarantee you're going to be missing some things that you really, really need to know. So the best advice I have is please take notes. Please pretend you're in class when you're watching the videos. Put everything else away. Put your phone away. Turn TV off. Whatever else you might be doing. Have a notebook or at least some paper, and just be like, I'm going to take notes. And taking notes is more than just let me write down everything that's on the slide, that's on the screen. It's adding the things that are helping you understand the material, adding those notes in addition to copying down, which I don't even know how much you really have to copy everything down. I mean, you can obviously just come back and look at it later. But I will say some people do like to have that in front of them. So if you do want to, you can also click on, for each of the units, these videos are me just voicing over some slides. And if you click on this link, slides, in each of the units, the PowerPoint slides for the lectures are there. So some people like to print those out. and then maybe take notes on top of them. That's a really good idea. So that's something that I know some people like to do. So that's there as well. Okay. The other thing that's posted in each unit is a link for homework. Now, these are like dead links, or these aren't really, this is not where you're actually completing the homework. So if you click on any one of these, it basically is just saying, hey, go do the homework in my stat lab, right? So you're not actually completing any homework here in Canvas. These are just little placeholders so that I can put the due dates in, um, and so that I can also enter a grade for you here in Canvas. While I think of that, I forgot to mention. So we'll use the grade book here in Canvas. Now there is a grade book in my stat lab, um, so don't freak out if you have some scores in my stat lab that are not immediately over here in Canvas. It's kind of a pain to try to interface them together. So I just copy the scores over from my stat lab into Canvas. So when you're completing a homework assignment, number one, don't freak out if you don't see a submit button. There is no submit button in my stat lab. Like, like, oh, okay, I finished this homework assignment. Now let me submit my score to my professor. There is nothing like that. But anything that you've done that you've saved, I can see. So whatever score you've accumulated as you're doing homework problems, I can see all of that. So as long as you've completed problems, it says on the screen you have a 98% or whatever for the assignment. I can see that, and I'll give you credit for it, right? So don't worry about hitting submit or upload or anything like that. So that's number one. Number two, don't worry if in my stat lab, okay, you finished an assignment and it's you got a 98 on it, and you come over here to Canvas to see your score, and you look on the homework assignment and you don't have a 98. Well, that's because I manually have to transfer the 98 over from my stat lab into Canvas. So I promise I will do that. I promise I. What I'll usually do though is I'll wait until the assignment is due, and then transfer the grades. Usually a few days after, because people will complete them late. So you know, I won't necessarily immediately transfer your grade over, but I promise, as long as it says it in my stat lab, it will eventually migrate over here to Canvas, and you'll get credit for it. So, so that's what these homeworks are here, is just as a placeholder for your grade for those assignments. So the first 3 units, again, for the first unit, you're going to read from the ebook and then complete the homework. But for all the other units, you're going to watch the videos here, take good notes, and then go over and try to complete the homework assignments with a combination of paperwork and maybe some Excel work. So those are the units and assignments. Now the 2 exams are here in Canvas, so you will take the midterm and the final exam are administered here in Canvas, not my stat lab. So for the midterm and for the final, the midterm is on the first 3 units. So Unit 1, which is sort of intro, Unit 2, and Unit 3. That's the material that's covered on the midterm. And then Unit 4, which is a very long unit, Unit 5, and Unit 6. Those are what are featured on the final exam, primarily. I mean, it's sort of a cumulative course, so there's some things from earlier in the semester on the final, but it stresses the material from the second half anyway. So for both the midterm and for the final, I'll just use the midterm as my example. The first link here, you're welcome to click on, and you'll see a couple of things. One, there's some practice problems here with some solutions. So these would obviously be good for you to try as you study for the exams. And then there's some advice down here about studying and blah, blah, blah. So this is advice or details and instructions, as the name suggests there. I think I said this already, but I do suggest that you study as you would for a regular exam, a regular paper and pencil exam. I know sometimes people will kind of freak out on the exam because it's timed, but you should have plenty of time as long as you've studied and are prepared. If you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'll just start this exam, and then when there's stuff I don't know, I'll look it up or I'll go watch the videos, you're going to run out of time pretty quickly. And it's there's 34, I think there's 34 questions on both the midterm and the final. So, so it takes a while, right? That's, so I will say, please make sure that you study for those. The pacing of the course, so that's the midterm, right? And then of course the final is down here as well. Same kind of idea. The pacing of the course, as you can see here in Canvas, there's due dates for everything posted already. So the first homework is due on March 20th, then March 25th. So that's about 5 days, and then about 4 days later for the next homework, and then the midterms due about 4 or 5 days after that. So the first half of the course, I put due dates kind of roughly 4 to 5 days apart for each thing. Because the first half of the course is, I think, I don't want to say easy, but it's more straightforward, and most people don't have too many problems in the first half of the course, which is great because hopefully that gives you a sense of confidence, and hopefully it gives you a good couple scores on the midterm and maybe on the homeworks, so that you have some confidence in yourself as you head into the second half of the course. The second half of the course is much harder though, so a couple of things. I give you a little bit more time. I think you have a week and a half or so maybe to complete this, as opposed to 4 or 5 days, and then maybe a full week for this, and another full week for this. So, and then another full week, I think, of study time to complete the and to do the final exam. So the second half of the course is much more spread out. But the materials also, our students say anyway, the material is quite a bit harder. As you can see for Unit 4, there's a lot of extra practice videos. So this is, I don't know, there's, who knows, 5, 6, 7 hours of videos for you to watch that week, and most people have to watch them more than once. So I say this all just to say, please build lots of time in to your schedule. You're going to fly through the first assignment and be like, awesome, I'm going to so do well, and all I need is an hour or two to complete each of these. I mean, that's true for the first assignment. There's like 4 or 5 hours of videos alone for this one, and then you have to do the homework afterwards. So, but even that's, I think, reasonably straightforward, and this one too. So, I mean, it's great if you do well with that. I'm just sort of saying up front. Just kind of be aware that you will need to spend more time on the course in the second half of the semester. But then again, right? Hopefully, you'll be brimming with confidence and statistical know-how by then, so it won't be too big of a deal. So I think that's about it for orientation to the course. So you are ready to go. So first things first, if you click on this, follow the instructions there to sign up for access to my stat lab. I think it's about $110 or so, something like that. So punch that in. It does offer you a trial period, so if you're not sure if you're staying in the class, I think it gives you, I don't know how long, a week or so of a free trial, so you can use that if you want, if you're not sure whether you're staying in the course. But start there. So start with the registration, sign up for that. And once you do that, you're good to go. And I would encourage you to uh, uh, start these assignments, early. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. And please do send a picture of whatever you're working on. If you have a question about a question, right? If you just sort of have a more broad question about something or other, then do feel free to reach out with that. So good luck this semester. I will be in touch, just sending out blast emails to the whole class roughly once a week, or so, maybe a little less than that. But mostly just to sort of remind you of due dates and to say hello. But if you do have any questions, or if there's anything else I can do, please let me know. So welcome to the course. Good luck this semester, and you are good to go.